In and Out with me, Professor Yalman, from the TEDU radio studios at TED University. This is to reach out to those who have questions and want desperate answers. Why me? Because I've seen it all. I've seen it all in different aspects. I have been up, down, I was fired, I was hired, I was poor, I was rich. I fell in love, I lost my love, I became a kite surfer, I became a writer, I became a poet, I became a musician. I never stopped trying. At the end of the day, I never stopped trying. I never lost my hope. There was always a pinnacle in my life where the answers to those questions came. And if those answers are not coming by themselves, here's your chance to ask us. Ask us and I will answer them. As I say, life can get even or you can get a 7. So a 7 you can get much easier, not just believing in luck, but being persistently pursuing your path, which is your authentic path. Ask the questions. In and Out with Professor Yalman every week on Thursday with you. In and Out with Professor Yalman from TED University Radio TEDU Ankara Studios, and I have this fantastic guest with me here. He is a friend. I admire him very, very much. He was my student. He was my assistant. Now he's an entrepreneur. One of the greatest people I met in my life, I can easily say. Emir Bursa, welcome to Ankara.
Thank you very much for the kind words. Good to be here.
Excellent. I'm just going to start directly asking you. I know you have this passion for sports marketing.
Yeah.
Why sports marketing? Why?
Let's start with why sports,
Okay.
and then why marketing. So sports is it's a personal thing for me. I do a lot of sports myself, and I think doing sports is actually good for the individual and therefore the society. And at least this has been my analysis, and this has been my driving factor to be in this industry.
Yeah.
So sports is a complicated industry. I think there's recreational sports, which the sports we do in our daily lives, and there's professional sports.
Yeah.
I focus on the professional part, working with rights holders, sports properties, sometimes athletes, sponsors, broadcasters, and all that. And sports marketing is the way that these assets are being marketed to audiences, and there's amazing opportunity.
So that's
here.
how value is created in a way,
Yes.
or that's how actually value is made visible. You know what? There are things which are boosting this right now, and since I got you on the other end of the microphone, I want to ask you, for example, where do you see, for example, MLS all of a sudden going with Beckham and Messi and everything? And we see that Messi jerseys are being sold immensely right now. And there's this immense competition all of a sudden of fanship going, whatever. But first, that question, like, where do you see MLS and Beckham and Messi and all that stuff going?
First of all, I think MLS is a very unique league, which has no other examples anywhere else in the world. It's in the world's biggest market, and it is football is the most popular sport globally. However, the organization of MLS is very different than La Liga, Premier League, or the Super League in Turkey, because it's a single company. It's a company owned by shareholders, run by an operating group, and every team is actually the same. They are only investors who are designated with certain markets, such as like states. Inter Miami is Miami. Colorado Rapids is in Colorado. So it's a very different structure to start with. And obviously in US, everything is marketing. And every marketing is done through the players, athletes. You can see this easily in NBA, Not so much in NHL, the hockey league, but MLS has also picked this up, and therefore they brought the world's biggest media property, one of the biggest media property in the US. Funny thing, I remember the first day that Inter Miami launched its logo, and I was like, oh, this is a beautiful brand. Like I wonder what's this gonna look like in 10 years. And then they crowned that investment with world's biggest media property, and therefore now they are one of the biggest marketing machines in the MLS. And I think we will see quite a lot of these athletes coming to Major League Soccer at the end of their careers.
So there's a huge competition on fan base, right?
Yes, in US or in general?
In general, but US is like I think igniting that even more. Can we say that, or?
Yeah. So the competition on fandom usually happens in very young age,
Right.
because this is an industry where consumers pick their brand at a very early age and has very small likelihood of changing the brand they're going to consume in their lifetime.
Okay.
So I think the competition happens when they are very young, maybe 5 to 10, 5 to 12. And then once a club gets that fan in their colors, I think it stays the rest of the life. But when you look from a global perspective, there's a huge competition between different events. Like now, Premier League is trying to get a part of football fans in US.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cannibalize MLS because a fan in US can support both Inter Miami or Atlanta United and then Arsenal or Liverpool. So it doesn't cannibalize each other that much, but obviously you cannot see fans in one big basket. There are all different segments of fans. And then I think when you go down into more casual fans, there are more competition there.
Yeah, but age 5, age 10, that's where the loyalty starts becoming sturdy. But there's this new thing as well, as this media is becoming more global. Especially Real Madrid was doing this on purposely.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, like let's say you're a citizen of Turkey and you're a Galatasaray supporter, but all of a sudden you also have this Spanish team of yours, Real Madrid. Or in China, they love Real Madrid because Real Madrid goes and plays there and whatever. They have their global team as Real Madrid, but their local team is something else. So the fanship is not just based on one team and one local idea anymore, right?
And it's not about the team at all. Sometimes,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's all about the athlete.
The athlete, yeah.
Like it's interesting that we see a lot of athlete loyalty, and then that loyalty travels across the teams.
That's actually my next question. Right now, we see Saudi investing a lot in soccer and other sports as well, and there's this all of a sudden competition between Saudi, U.S., Latin America on soccer. But as you say, Saudi has embodied the strategy of undertaking all these big stars into their teams and to sort of raise attention and fanship for their teams. How do you see that? There is a competition, right, in terms of
there is a competition, but the question is how long it's gonna last. I think this is the most important question, because in previous decades we have seen similar approaches in China and in other places in the world. However, to sustain this is the most critical part, because you cannot pay someone $400 million over 10 years if there is no return. And I think the barrier, I think the most difficult challenge that Saudis will face is the amount of eyeballs that they can bring in into their local competition and to their international competition. Because today, we, as Turkey, we are competing in UEFA, and then if one of our team goes to the Champions League, the team automatically receives 30 million euros. Entry fee, broadcasting fees, and some other additional fees that add up to 30 million euros just to play in the group stage. And if, depending on their performance, they get incentives. So right now, Saudi belongs to the Asian Confederation and AFC. And then AFC doesn't have a international competition like UEFA does. So the economics doesn't work in that region. And if they cannot find a way to move their product into a bigger market, such as UEFA, I think they will have difficult time sustaining this investment.
So then all of a sudden this question arises when I think about this competition still, I'm in this question, is countries like Saudi doing this for the sake of and betterment of their country perception versus really investing in the sport or not? I want to come now to you from all these different sports business things. How did you decide to become an entrepreneur? I asked you this in class as well, but because you were so much in sports business, you studied that, you did that in NYU, and you worked for huge sports marketing businesses, agencies, etc. And then all of a sudden, we see Emir Bursa as the sports business entrepreneur. How did you decide on that?
Yeah, so I actually, it's been a journey, and I think learning has been the biggest driver of this journey. And as soon as I felt like I was not learning enough and I wasn't improving enough, that was the point that I understood that I need to take the next step.
Yeah.
So, but I think the biggest problem was to identifying what the next step is. And working a lot in this space, I had to find what is broken and fix it. And it took a couple of years to figure out what was really broken and how I could fix this. And I feel like I have found a good path in this process, and founded my company today, Delta 3.
So you with your Delta 3 company, actually, you started a startup, right? If I'm not wrong. And the question arouses, is it hard to model sports business as a startup? Because when we think about sports business, then we think about, owning a team or, doing media, whatever. But there's more to that. And you turn around, you must have identified some big problem, which you address it as building a startup.
So when you look at sports, I think the loyalty begins at club, the relationship between the club and the fan.
Okay.
The league is a different organization. It is the group of clubs that come together to. Initially, the idea was to sell broadcasting rights.
Yeah.
That's why they have formed a league who could negotiate broadcasting rights on behalf of the entire teams.
Yeah.
So it's an abstract concept that runs the overall competition. But the main product, I think, is the club itself, and then the assets that it owns, such as the players. So when you look at clubs, they have massive media. I think they are the biggest media outlets today, one of the biggest, let's say. However, their consumer interactions are super limited. As a fan, you can either buy a ticket to the game or a merchandise. And these two revenue items are very limited and very not scalable at all, because it requires, like, merchandising requires a lot of logistics, operation. Tickets, you're limited with number of games and number of seats you have in your stadium, and it only caters to a very local fan.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was to help these organizations capture a bigger value of their global fan base. And you cannot do this any place other than the digital side. So what we have done is, actually, we have created a new revenue stream
Okay.
that is hyper scalable, that and has a value proposition to anyone in the world who follows their beloved club, which is, for us right now, it's subscriptions.
All right.
You can, as you see, Netflix, they have 300 million subscribers, hyper scalable, requires very little investment to scale into a new country. So we have brought that technology, that offer, to these clubs, so that they can offer anyone something valuable.
So you're addressing actually a very important problem, which you and I discussed a lot of times in the previous meetings when we had these previous meetings about sports business. You're saying that sports clubs couldn't activate their fan base to its optimum level, and through your startup, you're giving them the power. So you're empowering them with a tool to do so, right?
Exactly. So I think I should have said this before, not later. Our objective is to make clubs better consumer businesses. So this is our objective. And in order to do so, we introduce the right tools to clubs. Tools that work, tools that generate revenue.
So they couldn't activate their fan base because they didn't have the tools.
Yes.
They were just looking at ticket sales and stadium and just advertising, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can consider football clubs as event companies,
right?
Basically,
right.
Because they do events and monetize their consumers around those events. And merchandise could be part of this also. Now they have obviously online stores and all that, but I think now there's a major transition of these organizations from an event company to a real consumer business that has products that can be offered anywhere else in the world.
Where can we see this product of yours? Is it active somewhere?
It is active. If you download Galatasaray's new app, you will see our product in play. Everything is white labeled. You don't see Delta 3 at any place in the app. That's the entire point. We don't want to put our brand in between the fan and the club, because we don't have that relationship. Club does, so why?
And next in line would be other clubs, right?
Yeah,
right
Turkish, international. We have a huge pipeline.
Excellent.
And then we are waiting a little bit more to get these amazing data that we will drive from Galatasaray. Galatasaray is an amazing client because they are the 18th biggest club in the world, not only in football, but also in all of the sports branches. In the digital footprint they have.
Excellent.
So it's an excellent client.
So if we want to sort of experience your end product, we can the Delta 3's end product. We can download the Galatasaray app. That's very good. So Emir, since I got you here, what's next? What's next for Emir Bursa, and what's next in this world of sports? I don't think Emir Bursa is going to be leaving the sports world somehow, because that's your passion. It has been your passion, and also when we were in school together. So what's next for you?
So I have this concept, where when I become a grandparent, and when my grandson asks me what you have done in your life, I want to be able to say I have changed an industry.
All right.
And then I have contributed I don't know, $1 trillion.
So
This is something that I want to be able to say. So
yeah.
I'm working towards this. So I
Excellent.
don't
So
think I'm leaving sports anytime soon.
all right, so that you have the journey planned out in a way conceptually, but
Yeah.
you're looking for the steps. All right. What about 3 advices that you would want to give to the coming generations who are in school right now?
When you have a dream, don't quit pursuing it, because if you quit, it will never happen. But if you don't, it has a very high likelihood that it will happen. Don't expect things to come to you. Be out there and uh, let yourself, enable yourself to new opportunities, to receive new opportunities, and it only happens when you're out there. And the last one, the third advice, move on.
Move on. So movement.
Move on. If you fail, move on. If you succeed, move on.
All right, excellent. So don't stay stagnant,
Yeah.
All right, excellent. My last question to you today is, what is your dream? Okay, you want to change the industry. That's something you want to do, but what is your dream?
My dream is to, aside from what I have dreamt for my career, is to have a content life, have wonderful kids, spend time with my wife, and not sacrifice that for my career. Keep it balanced.
Keep it balanced.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Emir, for coming here and answering our questions. Very valuable. We have audiences from different countries in the world. So
thank you for having me.
No,
it's always a pleasure. You know that.
It's pleasure is ours. Thank you, Arda, again for this wonderful setup. In and Out with Professor Yalman from TED University Radio, TEDU Studios. We'll be back with more guests in the coming weeks. So we will be keeping on posting our interesting content with interesting figures and personalities. Keep on watching us.